Hello and welcome to This Week in James City County. I'm your host, Renee Dahlman. Today I am once again joined by Sarah Rue. Sarah is James City County's emergency manager. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Renee. Excited to be back. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and what a perfect time to have you back. Here we are doing Severe Weather Awareness Week. How exciting!
Mhm. Yes,
So,
very exciting.
spring is right around the corner, and with
It
spring
is.
comes lots of exciting weather. So, I am just going to let you take it away.
Okay, sounds good. So, as you mentioned, it's Virginia's Severe Weather Awareness Week this week. As I'm sure a lot of the residents of the county have kind of noticed, we're swinging from really cold to super warm, back to really cold, back to super warm. So, with that, comes severe weather when there's changes in the atmosphere. So I really think that they picked the perfect week to do this, especially with our nice, high temps for today and cold temps coming later in the week. So um, Monday, which has passed already, was severe weather watches and warnings. And I saw the perfect meme, and you've probably seen this meme before, Renee, but I saw the perfect meme the other day to describe how what's different between a watch and a warning. So a watch is like, I'm giving the example of tacos. So
Okay, okay.
really should be doing this on Taco Tuesday, right?
Of course, yep.
A watch is we've got all the stuff to make tacos, we've got all the ingredients, they're all set out, they're ready to go. We just need to put them together. So that's a watch, is everything's there and the conditions are right for something to happen. A warning is we have our taco put together and stuff might actually be happening and you're ready to eat it.
Gotcha.
So I just thought that was so perfect. And my question was why, these both tacos and watches and warnings have been around for forever. How did it take us this long to like combine the two? Because I
Right?
really think that is the perfect way of explaining stuff to people. So
Absolutely. I love
watches
it.
is conditions are right and looking okay and good, but nothing's happened. But a warning is everything's put together and something's happening or is expected to happen very soon. So that's Monday was severe watches and warning day. Tuesday is tornadoes. So the state will be holding its annual tornado drill starting at 9:45 a.m. So if you hear your EAS message, like the little scroll going across the screen, or you hear, if you're listening to the radio in the car, the beep, beep, beep thing, it is us practicing for a tornado warning. And I believe that there are several entities within the county that will be participating in that. So super easy to participate. All you have to do is at 9:45, pretend like there's a tornado coming. And what would you do? If you would go in the hallway, cover your head, or if you would go into a bathroom that's enclosed, so that you want to get into a room that doesn't have windows, that's into the interior of your building are the safest ones. We don't have too many basements around here. Otherwise, I would tell people to go to their basements. But practicing for those severe weather events is very important. Last weekend, unfortunately, Iowa had that massive, they're thinking it was an EF3 tornado that came through. And, there was that big, huge, long line of them in Kentucky several months back, that they're still trying to recover from. So it's very important that people understand where to go. So go into an interior room without any windows. And then you wait until you get the all clear from listening to your weather station, or nowadays, people have phones and can track it on their phone as well. So very important to understand that and then practice it, or at least, walk through it. Make sure there isn't any impediments to you getting to the room. And if so, how would you overcome those? So Wednesday is severe winds and hail. James City County actually earlier this week was under a severe wind warning. So, it's getting gusty out and make sure that for the severe wind warnings, you want to make sure that stuff is tied down. You don't have loose objects that could go flying. You don't want to be chasing your trampoline down the down the road or chasing your garbage can down the road. So if you can, make sure you tie stuff down or bring stuff in so that it doesn't go flying for those. Also hail. I haven't seen too much hail around here, but again, be careful of it. Obviously try to get indoors or take some sort of shelter if it's hailing. Thursday is flash floods. Floods come in many types. You have flash floods, you have aerial floods that take a little bit longer. So just, make sure with flooding, you understand what flood zone you're in. A flood zone is different than our hurricane zones. So you want to make sure that you find that information. And I believe you can find it on the county's web pages into exactly what flood zone you are in. Also, so those are different than the hurricane zones. So, and then you can always, we suggest looking at the National Flood Insurance Program if you know that you're in a flood zone. And quite frankly, anywhere that it can rain, it can flood. So even if you're not in a flood zone, you might want to look at getting some flood insurance because your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover flood insurance. And it's always nice to have that little bit of extra coverage there in case something does happen. The other thing, I see a lot of people doing this, and I'm terrified for them when they do it, but remember, turn around, don't drown. Even though the road has always been there when you've gone over it before and you think you can see it, you don't know if it's still there or not, or if a piece of it has come apart or whatever. So just, turn around, don't drown. It's not worth it. Go a different way home. It might take you a little bit longer, but at least you're going to get there safely. 6 inches of moving water can knock you down like a person. And then 1 foot of moving water can sweep your vehicle away. So it doesn't take a whole lot. I know a lot of people have SUVs now. I do, but that the 1 foot rule with moving water still applies to even the larger, what we would think of as more sturdy vehicles. They can still be swept away. So just because you have a large vehicle doesn't necessarily mean that you were immune to possibly having your car swept away during a fast moving flood event.
Hey, Sarah, if I could interject before we get too far along, back to the flooding insurance. Is there still a significant waiting period in place for when you've applied for your 1 month?
Yes. 1 month.
Okay, so we
now's
can't we can't watch the weather and say, oh gosh, it's going to rain for the next 4 days. I better get some flood insurance tomorrow. That's
Right.
not going to work. So
Good point, Renee. I forgot about that. Yes, that it's still, you can't purchase flood insurance, because you see a hurricane coming or
Right.
because we're going to get a downpour of rain and your house is apt to flood. So it's something you need to start preparing for now. Now is a good time to start looking at it. And then we've got lightning is Friday of this week. And there's there's the turn around, don't drown saying, but they also have a super cute saying for lightning, which is when thunder roars, go indoors. And around here, you think, oh, lightning, no big deal. Sorry, I'm getting my lightning pages here. I just don't want to get this right. But lightning is the leading cause of injury and death from weather-related hazards.
wow.
Now, most of the time, lightning victims survive, but you can still have effects of being hit by lightning well afterwards. So something to consider there. Also, we have had several major lightning strikes within James City County or adjacent to us. Renee, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years ago, the Williamsburg Fire Department had their air conditioning unit got hit and it started a fire. So
Right.
lightning struck the air conditioning unit and they ended up with a fire in the fire department. So it can literally happen to anybody.
Right.
So, something to prepare for, think about, there's items that you can do to help, like in installing lightning rods on your home, making sure that not many people have landlines, but they suggested this was if you don't use your landline phone during a heavy thunderstorm or lightning storm. And then there's several other things that we can do that are just in general good practices. So have a kit, stay informed, and make a plan. So the county does that every single time we have some sort of event. We're getting ready, we're staying informed by listening to the National Weather Service and any other sort of organizations that are providing us information. So we're staying informed. Your podcast is a great way to stay informed, just in general overall for the season. And then also looking at whatever you all post on social media or on the website, and then making a plan for your family. You and I were just discussing, how county employees have to have plans too, so that we make sure that we're ready to take care of the citizens. And then get a kit. So, and a kit doesn't have to be something formal, within a backpack or a tub or whatever. You can just make sure that you have the items in your house. And I always like to recommend at least 5 days worth of food and water. A couple of years back, it was shown through some of the hurricanes that the 3-day thing that we were telling people was just not cutting it, especially due to supply chain issues and other things. So I really suggest the 5 days worth of food and water. Don't forget your pets or those that might have some access or functional needs. So like myself, I wear glasses. I don't on a regular day basis, but I make sure that, I know where my glasses are, or I have extra pairs of contacts or whatever, so that they're in my to-go bag and ready to go. We talk about access and functional needs quite a bit, and everybody kind of thinks, oh, well, that's, maybe someone else other than me. So I like to point out that often, there's a lot of people that could possibly qualify under that. It just means bringing your extra stuff that you have, whether it's your medication, any sort of adaptive equipment, if it's a cane or a walker or something else along those lines, just, making sure you know where everything is and that you're prepared in case you had to leave for some reason.
And that is a really good point, Sarah, about glasses, because I wear them from when I wake up to when I go to bed. And if I didn't have my glasses, it would be a very bad day. So that is good point. Good point.
Yeah, so that's, I can go into more information here on flood safety or on, tornadoes or the thunderstorm stuff, Renee. I don't know exactly what people might be looking for out there. Oh, okay. So for tornadoes, if you're in your car, this happens to you and me more frequently than most, Renee. I'm just saying, I start asking you a question and then I answer it myself, where I find, oh yes, wait a minute, I forgot to tell you or mention. So anyway, if you're in your car while you're traveling for a tornado, and you see a tornado or a tornado warning goes off, find a building that's sturdy to go into. If you can't do that, then get out of your car, lay flat on the ground and cover your head. You do not want to try and outdrive a tornado. You will not win, most likely.
Nope.
Most likely you will not. So sounds like a good idea at the time. And, we have all that adrenaline pumping and everything, but the safest thing to do would be to get outside, lay flat, or find a building that is sturdy to go into. And that also goes for our folks that live in mobile homes or maybe a camper or RV. If you were out camping and enjoying some of this nice weather, you want to make sure that you go into some sort of sturdy building rather than being in those buildings, since they are not as tied down or secure as a normal brick house or whatever. So that's really, about all I have here, Renee. Plan for your pets, pay attention to the weather reports. Oh, sign up for JCC Alert. Excellent way to get information about James City County and what's happening here. And if we're under some sort of watch or warning, the system that we have automatically, when the National Weather Service sends out a watch warning or any other sort of message that they send out, it goes straight through our system in and out to you, out to the user. So there's no middleman in there. It just goes straight to you. So you get it almost instantly. So that's always a good thing to do. And, if you're out with your kids or whatever during a lightning storm, it's nice to, I know we had an issue with lightning alerts previously when we set up the, system, but you can still sign up for them if you want to on your own. And then if a storm's coming through.
That is true. It worked very, very well. That I think was the problem. That it worked
that was
really well.
That was the problem, especially, at like 2 a.m.
Mhm.
So yeah. But it's good to know those things so that you can take the proper precautions and, move indoors in case, the lightning is close enough to cause some sort of damage. But if you can hear the thunder, it's close enough to hit you, the storm's moving or it's close enough in the area. So
Sarah,
really,
I think one thing to go back to, because this is something that I've been talking to our communications folks about, excuse me, is about car kits. We all witnessed what happened on 95 this year and how horrible that was. And so quite often we're so focused on our house, we need to be prepared in our cars as well.
Yeah, that's very true, especially for the winter weather. But I mean, spring, if you get caught in one of these bad thunderstorms while you're driving, and you had to wait it out for a little bit, it's still nice to have the water, the food, maybe a blanket in case it gets cold. So definitely, I would agree with that. And I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else was. I'm like, okay, I don't have water in my car. I now put like a little bag of snacks in my car. I did have a blanket though, so that was
Very good.
at least I had one thing. But no, that's a very good point, Renee. So thunderstorms, I have a couple other things here. I forgot to talk about, I know we have a lot of boaters out there. So if you're boating or swimming, get to land and find sturdy grounded shelter or a vehicle immediately. If you're indoors, avoid running water or using the landline telephones. Electricity can travel through plumbing and phone lines.
Okay.
So I didn't realize the water one. I mean, I knew it could travel through water. I just
Right.
didn't think of not running my water
Right.
During some sort of lightning storm. And then other just preventative measures for any sort of storm is, go look around your property. Check out your trees, especially this time of year. Make sure that they're still sturdy, that they're not too close to the house, that there's limbs not over the house that could fall either in a tornado or these high winds or a hurricane and damage your home. So that's something, fairly easy to do, and just look and see, before spring comes and all the leaves are out on the trees, kind of easy to see where the branches actually are now. And if, anything has grown since last year when you looked at it, to make sure that your house is safe, not safe, but, doesn't have anything that could possibly damage it
Right.
during a storm.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. I guess it was last summer that we had a tree that's a tree that is planted in lots of different neighborhoods, the Bradford pear, which tends to not be the most sturdy tree. And our tree split and demolished our fence and tapped our neighbor's house, no damage. So besides our fence. So we figure, okay, we've had our one free pass. So it's like we are definitely checking our trees to make sure, because we're not going to get lucky a second time, I don't think.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. And then, after the storm, whatever kind of storm it is, whether it's a thunderstorm or a hurricane, tornado, or flooding, which normally causes, some possibly damage to power lines if there's wind along with it. So if after a storm, make sure, especially if you don't have power, look and make sure that, there's no active power lines or any sort of power lines in front of your house or wherever you're going, because you don't know if they're active or not. And if you find them, notify Dominion, so that they can come out and take a look at them and either deactivate them or, let you know that they've been rendered safe.
Right.
That's one of those things that we definitely don't want to happen during any sort of situation, is losing someone due to, an electrical power issue with the power lines being
Right.
down and someone not knowing and walking over it, or stepping in a puddle that has the lines down in it. So, yeah, so that's, I think that's, I feel like there should be more, Renee, but I
Well,
think I just talked really fast.
the good news, Sarah, is that we have you on the schedule to come
Yeah.
back 3 more times this year. And we're going to talk, I think our next one is hurricanes, wouldn't it be? I believe. And then we'll have you again for winter. And there's another one in there too somewhere.
I
But
think National Preparedness Month in September.
that's it. That's it. So which is also a really good time for us in terms of hurricanes. That tends to be when if we're going to have anything, knock on, yes.
Please.
So we're going to have you back lots and lots of times. I'm going to have show notes with this episode that are going to have links to JCC Alert, all of the resources that are out there. So again, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on and dealing with our technology. There are good things about Zoom and other video conferencing. One is that we're able to not just do audio, but to have this fabulous video with it. And I just appreciate you being willing to work with us.
Oh, well, I'm thrilled to be here and to do these interviews with you, Renee. I mean, you always make it so fun and lively. So, it's a great way to get information out to our citizens. So I'm always thrilled to be a part of your show. So
Great. Well, thank you so much. Well, we will see you next time for sure.
Okay.
Well, that wraps up this episode of This Week in James City County. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please feel free to subscribe. That way you will be sure to never miss one of our episodes. And also go to our website. We're at jamescitycountyva.gov/podcast, where you'll find a form to give us show feedback, all of our shows. Check it out. It's great. So once again, thank you so much, and we will talk with you next week.